What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. Men, I'm speaking to you because I can be hard on you like I am on myself. Because I don't have to mince words. Because we can get past the niceties as soon as I state this and get to the point. I'm speaking to you to take a hard look in the mirror, like I do for myself on a daily basis. And many times I do not like what reflects back. And maybe I just need to do this exercise less and be kinder to myself. But unless you're overly harsh on yourself already, if you're like most of us who constantly go back and forth between harsh on us and then coddling ourselves like, it's okay, baby, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to hurt you with those mean words with reality in your face. If you're like most of us who stay in that coddling phase too long, most of us who don't end up meeting the best of us in life because of this coddling, this babying of yourself, when instead you should probably be addressing the root of your initial harsh judgment in the first place. Here are some words to remember when you are in that coddling state that transcend even the harsh tone that they're expressed in because of how much they appeal to even the one trying to protect yourself from reality. Protect that you inside that you're coddling from reality. Because that little baby that you're protecting, it even benefits him. That you want to keep so safe, that baby inside you, that you want to keep so safe and protected and away from hurt and pain, and keep him away from the fear of the new. Here's some perspective that may reach even in that state. Men and the little boys inside. And yes, all humans, irrespective of your gender. Your entire existence, the only reason you are born is to do something. And the bigger the something you pick, the more that something means. And the more it means, the more it matters. And the more it matters, the more it justifies the reason for picking that something up. And then it reinforces and encourages you to pick up more. And the more you pick up, the bigger and bigger some things you pick up, the more and more it means, and the more it matters. And then it starts to matter so much that it overflows past just mattering to you. It starts to affect and then, of course, matter to other people as well. And then, so as I began with saying, your entire existence, the point of it all, is this overflow that comes from just starting something. We have to start with something and do as much as we can of it. And pick up as much as we can of it. And lift as much as we can of it. But before you can even do all of that, you might have to begin with believing why this is the case. Why this is the reason for our entire existence. Why do anything at all? And you might ask me why. Why, T? Why is this the point of my existence? What makes you so sure? Who are you to tell me the point of my existence? And I've been thinking a lot about this, especially as a person who has delayed taking on the task to do something on many occasions. And in the grand scheme of life, have delayed taking on the some things of duty, the something that I must pick up. that I have delayed from picking up, delayed the duty by limiting the scope of my responsibility to solely serve myself. And as carefree as that life without responsibilities may seem, and yes, how full of pleasure it was, I have to say it wasn't without its angst, much of which comes from operating in opposition to our design. As humans, we are tribal. We have assumed responsibility for each other's survival since the dawn of existence. So it wasn't until I began to assume responsibility did I receive the clarity and the conviction, and therefore the confidence, to actually define accepted parameters for my life that before were just wishy-washy and had no reason to be believed. I had no firmness to urgency. Before picking up something in front of me, whatever it was, and saying I am now expanding the picture of my own life to assume claim and include this new facet, whether that's a person, a situation, a purpose, any something I am now willing to take on as duty, which now in turn expands me as I expand my picture of life to assume responsibility for it. And it wasn't until I expanded my life like this did I experience more grounded sense of peace and calm. And yes, it can be painful at first because any expansion is almost like the death of something, that it's stretching and morphing. But after much of that initial discomfort, I have never gotten to a place after having taken responsibility for something and not thought to myself, how did I not do this sooner? Almost always, I can't imagine how life was ever like without this. So I can't help but feel that my initial reluctance and hesitation from the little boy in me who is afraid of what may happen when the boundaries of everything he has known are suddenly shifted and stretched, I can't help but feel that his hesitation is actually keeping me from the very experiences that I need for expansion. Almost like the radar of what to avoid is pointing to the thing to walk towards and pick up instead. Like, hey bud, red flags all over to the left, stay out of there, which I now am learning to interpret as, I'm scared, don't go in there, but if you do, bring me back something nice. But here's also what I realized once I started to accept that going over to the left actually is what benefits me, and what benefits me most, no matter how dangerous it is. And that again, the more I pick up something that matters and walk into unknown territory to expand myself, the more treacherous the territory I find myself in. And the more expansion I seek, now having realized that this is the point of my existence, the more expansion I seek, the rougher the terrain. And if I expect to keep going, having accepted my responsibility as a man, as a human, that I will also need to expand my response ability. That my ability to respond will determine the magnitude of the response. The more I'm able to hone my ability, the more I'm able to build myself, the more expansion I can seek. And the ability built along the way from expansion to expansion, rigorous trail to terrain, is what separates the ones who get to see the sights and those who never leave the beaten path. And there's no shortcut to those off-road calluses. I think these thoughts because there are many things at one point in my life I have romanticized about being responsible for, and many of which the daydream continues for. But when the responsibility I so innocently fantasized about became one that I find myself in because of law of attraction or actually subconsciously moving my life in that direction. When the responsibility actually became one I woke my eyes to. There were many times I've had to question the soundness of my ability. And ironically in life, every time I have shown God a degree of mastery in a certain ability, He shifted me almost drastically into the next chapter of struggle to master. So I always find myself waking my eyes to responsibility that I am not fully able to carry. And in a way, we are meant to graduate to obstacle from obstacle in this jungle gym of life. But some of us float like ninja warriors because we can fall back on our training, and some of us splash flat on our face in a puddle after the first obstacle. It all comes back down to our ability, which can only be built along the way. So we talked about the what and the why, the what being that our entire point of existence is to do something. The why is so what we do and what we pick up matters and overflows in its impact and mattering to others. So let's talk really briefly about how someone might exercise this ability to have the ability to respond. And here's where I'm not going to say anything new because you've just heard most of it from me in my story. So I'll boil it down to 3 points as a summary of this episode. Don't delay taking on the doing of something that could potentially matter. And if and when you do pick up that thing that matters, make it matter as much as possible and leave as little matter unmet inside. And once you master what mattered, move on quickly to what can matter more. And meet it with caution, humility, and conviction that it will demand from you. I love you, family. I'm just trying to get you to take responsibility so I can come and crash on your couch. That's my ulterior motive. That's it. Cat's out the bag. See you tomorrow in your kitchen. Love you.